Welcome, collectors of all ages. This is Mike with Jayhawker Vintage Cards, and this is episode 2 of my Down the Rabbit Hole series. That's a series I wanted to put together to invite a collector or two on and talk about a new hobby rabbit hole that they've jumped down now. You might ask, why do I want to do this? Well, I've been known to be a little bit enthusiastic about collecting and a hobby. That's just how excited I am about the hobby. And so I thought, what a better way to bring people on who are trying something new, maybe a little bit outside the box for them, and just see their enthusiasm for it and hear their journey about why they jumped down that rabbit hole and maybe their inspiration behind it. Was it one thing, or was it multiple things? Was it another content creator, or just a hobby buddy? What made it tick? And also learn how they do that. And the very first episode I did was down the TTM rabbit hole, and I had my buddy Joe Redneck Collector and Jeff AFineCardCollector on that one. And if you've not watched that, and since I'm a small channel, you may not have, I ask you to go do that. Not for me, because I didn't do much. I just sat back and let them talk. But they did such a great job articulating why they love TTMs and just their journey into it. And I was quite fascinated that as many similarities that they had on TTMing, they had quite a few differences, not only on what type of cards they TTM'd, but how they packaged them. And then, the resources they use to find out about who does the TTMs and things like that. So I'll tell you what, I got so into it, just sitting back and listening to those two guys talk, I forgot I was actually running the recording. So I had to catch myself a few times. So if you have any interest in TTM at all, I definitely recommend that you go back and watch that one. Now, the genesis for this video is tied in directly to that. I can't remember now if I just recorded that video or just was about to, and I was on an online chat with a bunch of guys like I like to do. And my guest tonight was on that chat, and he started showing us some beautiful pre-war cards. And what I did not know at the time, but learned by being on that chat with him, was that he's pretty new into going back and doing pre-war. And so I asked him right there, hey, Matt, would you like to be on my next episode? And he graciously accepted and said yes. So I don't want to keep talking too much about here. Matt, you're already out here and everybody can see. I didn't want to bring you out that way. So welcome. Thank you so much. You've been on a lot of different, I have to say this, you've been on a lot of different chats recently, or shows and stuff. And you kind of kept this for me, and I appreciate that. So for those of you who may not know who Matt is, Matt, go ahead and tell everybody about you a little bit, your channel, and in particular, I want just up to the point of pre-war. So kind of your hobby history, collecting history, and your interesting screen name, which a lot of people may not know about.
Perfect. Thanks, Mike, for having me on. Yeah, definitely it was fun to chat that one night. About 6 people in the chat, so definitely a good time. And I enjoyed that first episode with Jeff and Joe. Really good job on the TTMing. So I don't know a ton about that, so I was able to learn quite a bit. So obviously the card story, THA. A lot of people at the beginning were like, "What is it, THA or is it the?" And so all like a little bit of, I guess, origin story for me. And I've been on YouTube about a little over 3 years. At the beginning, I used to do, if you look at any of my old videos, you'll see my son next to me, Tyrus. And so THA is just his initials. So Tyrus, Henry, and then our last name, right? So Tyrus, obviously, for Ty Cobb, and then Henry for Hank Aaron. So pretty cool. I was a big baseball fan growing up, like a lot of the folks on YouTube, right? That create baseball card content. So we did it at the very beginning, and we also kind of, it was like, I guess, a little twist on words, right? So THA is also for the Hank Aaron. So I was really just big into Hank Aaron when we first started. So I guess dial back to like April 2022 is when we went to like our first Dallas card show. We live in the DFW area in Texas. And we literally went there and we bought one card. We bought a 74 Topps, card number 1. It's actually like what it shows them, but like the Home Run King or whatever. It's a horizontal card. And actually hadn't broke the record yet. I think it was like 713 at that point, right? So he hadn't quite broken the Babe's record, but they kind of prematurely gave it to him. We spent $15. So we've definitely been like where I brought like $50 to a card show, and now it's a little bit different, fortunately. But so we started like, okay, I really want to collect Hank Aaron cards. So we kind of went down this rabbit hole, then a different rabbit hole, I guess the original one, and just started just being like a super collector for Hank Aaron. And that's kind of my origin story. I joined YouTube, or we joined YouTube, I should say, in August of 2022. Did Hank Aaron exclusively until about a little over a year after that, and then I started doing Warren Spawn the same way. So obviously they were teammates in the Milwaukee Braves. And then obviously Spawn retired before they moved to Atlanta. And then I did Spawn hardcore, did the same thing, try to get every one of his cards possible from his playing days. Did that for a little over a year, and so both those guys, I made a lot of progress really quickly, and that's why I kind of needed to have something new. To kind of chase, if you will, right? So a little over a year later, I decided to add Eddie Matthews to the mix, another Braves teammate, right? So, and obviously Matthews and Aaron, they hold a record for having the most home runs of teammates, right? Even more than the Babe and Lou Gehrig, right? So a lot of history there. They obviously all won the World Series together in '57. That same year is when Spawn and Aaron won the, respectively, the MVP and Cy Young Award, right? So, and they just had a lot of great cards, and I was lucky. Like the Braves have a lot of great regional cards, right? Like the Johnson Cookies set, the Spick and Span set, and I know I've shown a lot of those cards on the channels over the year, right? So, on the channel over the years. So my son now is 14. I was started the channel. He was much younger, so we were doing this pretty religiously for a while. We did like I don't know, 7,500 videos over the first year and a half for 2 years. And then obviously as teenagers kind of grow up, they get kind of divert into different things. I think we all probably experienced a little bit of that growing up too, right? So I know it did the same thing. So he would kind of went to comic books for a little bit, and I obviously super supportive. So we'd still go to the Dallas Card Show. There was a couple comic book dealers there, and then now they've kind of gone hardcore into Pokemon cards. So I'll be honest with you. Tomorrow we're actually setting up. We're actually getting ready earlier tonight. That's why I couldn't jump on until later. We're kind of getting ready. We're actually set up a card show for the next 2 days in Arlington, Texas, for Pokemon cards. So,
Nice. Nice.
so really fun. Him and my older son Brody are doing that. So kind of trying to support them. I know when I was a kid, I don't know about you, Mike, but I would have loved to set up at a baseball card show. Maybe you did. I don't. I never
I
been a
actually
vendor
did.
for
I
card
started
shows.
setting up when I was 16 or 17. And I did that through my college years. I loved it. I wish I
Yeah.
could go back and get some of those cards back, but I still have a lot of them too. There's some that
Yep.
I put in my personal collection that I still have. But yeah, I actually started setting up, and it was funny because back in those days, first show I did was in Lawrence, where I grew up, and I had two tables. One table had three like 3x2 display cases. The rest of it was all binders because that's what we had back then. There wasn't a lot of top loaders, so I just had binder after binder after binder of junk wax, basically.
Sure.
um, 5 cents, 10 cents, a dollar. I mean, but it added up. That's just what the shows were back in those days. So yeah, I can relate to that. Yeah, I had a blast doing that. Good times, good memories.
Oh
Now,
yeah, no, yeah. They have like
in
two
setting
display
it up,
cases, and they still do so Pokemon binders are pretty popular. So they'll have like cards, but they have like the fancy ones now where the cards go in sideways. That way they don't fall out or people don't
right?
damage them at the top. So they'll have each have a binder and each have a display case tomorrow on the table. They're gonna like an 8 foot table. They're gonna share it. So but yeah, no, it should be fun. They're definitely enjoying it. Like I said, I'm glad you got to do it. I never did. I should have. I regret not trying to do it younger. When I was younger, I just didn't do it. So you made it happen. I wish I would have, but trying to kind of live through them a little bit and let them enjoy that experience.
Oh,
It's
that's
good too. You learn how to talk to people. You learn how to like, kind of make sure you're tracking your costs versus what your revenue, right, or whatever you want to call it, your net profit, whatever, however you look at it, right. So I think they're enjoying that piece of it too, and trying to see if they can make a go at this. If nothing else, it's just a lot of fun to do
Oh, yeah.
together,
It's a
right?
lot
So.
different now because back then we didn't have comps, we didn't have the internet. It was the old standard, monthly price guides and things like that. Now, you mentioned one of your son's first name is Tyrus, and we texted a little bit, and I said, "Well, what was the first like pre-word when you jumped down that rabbit hole? What was that card?" And you mentioned it was a card I'm going to show here, and you picked that up with your son, if I understood that correctly. So let's
That's
go ahead
correct.
and show you a picture of you and your son here.
Yep. Yeah, this is Tyrus and I at the our very first national card show was in Chicago back in 2023. Yep, 2023. This will be our fourth one coming up this year. So yeah, my wife actually, obviously she's super supportive. She goes to all the nationals with us. A lot of people in the YouTube community know her because she's like famously in Cleveland. She kind of held down a table for everyone all week. They could take breaks at and everything. So
Well, that's awesome.
people still talk about it. So yeah, she's great. So she wanted to like, buy this card a long time ago when he was first born, and like didn't do like a painting in his room of it. And I didn't buy it then. So stupidly, I didn't buy it until 2023 when prices were a lot higher. So,
Well, let's
but
go
we
ahead.
kind of got this. Is actually Tyrus's card. We got it for him. So he actually had the first pre-work card in the family. Um,
So there's a
so
better look at that beautiful card. I love the T205s.
yeah, no, it's a great set. I actually was going to start doing the set, then I realized there's just a couple hundred cards. I just don't know. I wanted to be a set builder, but the idea of having, and I like to collect like collections of like player sets, like player runs, but like it's there's so many players you don't really. I know that no one's a comment. I kind of believe in that. I know Dan, Vintage Baseball PC, will tell you that, right? There are no comments. Everyone's got a story, right? But it's just hard to put a lot of money out there for players that you don't have a huge connection to. For me, anyway.
And for a guy like me who's on a little bit more limited budget, I was a voracious reader of baseball history growing up. And so a lot of guys that people don't know about, I do know who some of the guys are that would be considered a common, but a lot of them have such interesting stories. So I have picked up pre-war cards or even golden era cards of guys like that. And a lot of people actually do content to tell those stories. And I absolutely love those videos. I know
Right.
Mangini does that, Dan Vintage Baseball PC. My buddy Ross loves cards. He'll read a book and start talking about that. I love the guys that have interesting stories, whether they played one game in the majors or, 20 games in the majors or had a great career. I love hearing those stories. Now, another card that I just wanted to show you, I asked you, when did you actually really jump down the rabbit hole of pre-war for good and just really jumped in head first? And you said when you picked up a couple of rookie cards. So let's go ahead and show one of those right now and tell us a little bit
Sure.
about the pickup.
Yep. So yeah, this one is obviously Ted Williams, one of his rookie cards, right? This is the one that most people think about is the 39 play ball. So this one actually, it's funny. I was looking for one online, and I saw there was one on eBay that I really liked. It was this copy, and then I realized that I emailed the seller, but they were going to be out of town, and I went to the website. A lot of guys you can kind of, if you look and do a little research, you can kind of figure out if they have a store, if they have a website, or if they're maybe on Net54 or another place to try to get hold of them or Instagram. And so I saw he had a store, and then I realized who it was. Then I looked up, and he said it was going to be on his website. He had a note saying I'll be in. Gosh, I cannot remember what show it is up in the Northeast, but I knew it was one that Sammy was going to be at. Sammy Thunder, obviously, right? So I messaged Sammy, or I messaged on Discord if anyone's going to the show, and Sammy was like, "Yeah, I'm going to that show." I'm like, "Do you mind trying to kind of broker this deal for me? I want to try to see if I can get a little bit better price than what going through eBay." And so Sammy Thunder actually helped me secure this one, and he's helped me secure so many cards. In fact, he's so I wanted this one. I wanted this one to go just ship to me, right? But there's one I bought like in October, November timeframe that I'll pick up from him in Independence. It's a lot smaller card, but that I was happy just to wait on. But this one, he actually, I just had the sellers, send it to me directly. Same, it was just kind of the middle person. I think, and it was nice because that guy gave him a little bit of a finder's fee, if you will, which obviously is super nice too, right? So Sam was able to make a little bit of money on it. I think he was actually at the show with Mookie Chilson at that show. So it's one of the ones that go together. Maybe it was the Garfield show. I can't remember, but yeah, small world. I mean, the hobby is great. I know there's been a lot of stories of people at shows in the community that kind of find cards for them, right? So it happens all the time. I want you to kind of put yourself out there and you know what people are looking for.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the things I'm looking forward to Independence is that, where I'm from, and I've said this on a recent video, there's just not a lot of guys around here. I've got to drive hours just to meet up with anybody that's a content creator. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. But just hearing the stories of the guys who do help each other out, and it may not even be at the same place. It could be you call Sammy and he
Yeah.
hooks you up with somebody, across the country somewhere. And this, it's fascinating to me, the technology that brings everybody together. I absolutely just love that. Now, I like this card for many reasons. Obviously, it's a Teddy Ballgame rookie, but you don't see a lot of rookie cards that's an action, kind of an action pose. I know it's posed action pose, but a lot of them are the face up ones.
Sure.
That's just a pretty unique one to me to see a card, that has that kind of follow through swing. And it's to me, it's fascinating. Now, this one I'd never seen until I think that you showed this. I don't know if you showed it in our chat or if you showed it on a different video that you were on, but this next one is absolutely just amazing. So tell us a little bit about this beauty.
Yeah. So this one, and you may recognize the pose. There's another card that's a little more popular, the Deech postcard that's also from 1907 to kind of that same time period. But it actually is just the image of Ty that's at bat there. But then they kind of blocked out the crowd in the background and just made it black. And so I
Wow.
think Darren, Return to Collecting, actually picked up that one, which is awesome. I think he's looking to get this one this year. Is on his list, I believe, of gold cards or whatever. But yeah, this one's the 1907 to 1909 H.M. Taylor. They issued this set, this postcard set for the team, just the Tigers only, after they won the pennant that year. So this one was literally, they must have just literally printed this because this one's postally used. You can tell it's kind of 1907, which is why I wanted to get it. That was the first year that a lot of his cards were made. There was like a 1906 team postcard. I think it's like the W601, where there's just like little small pictures of each player. So I mean, I'd love to get one if I could. They're super super expensive, but like this one's cool because it was actually postmarked. Yeah, there you go. The day before the World Series started with the Cubs that year, and the Cubs knocked the crap out of them that year. They won like I think in 5 games or something, right? Back then they played best of nine. So anyway, they won pretty quick. But yeah, so like it was postmarked like October 7th, 1907, and so
That's
that's really cool.
um,
Yeah, so you know it's like that first year the mainstream cards kind of not mainstream people. Some people don't consider postcards rookie cards, but for him that's always really got until you get to kind of like the T206, right? So there's this postcard. There's the two different deeches, which is like a fielding one and a batting one. Again, that batting one's the same image, and then there's a what's a Wolverine news I think postcard. But yeah, I was just super happy to get this one. So actually, I mean, this obviously for me, obviously with my son Tyrus, and
right.
obviously him being like an inaugural class. I was really happy to get this one. I got this from Phil Gary, who I mentioned on one of the lives. I mentioned him in time can. He's really awesome. I've had a great time getting to know him. He's in Florida. I met him at Strongsville last year in person. He had a table set up there. He's going to set up again this year in Independence, but I bought a bunch of stuff off of him. Just kind of, I'll see stuff on eBay and then ping him and let him know kind of what I'm looking for. Even just give him a list. He kind of knows what I'm working on. He actually has been one of the big inspirations. So he and Aaron Value Vintage, obviously famously known as a pre-war pusher or pre-war. What does he call himself?
Oh yeah,
Not
Aaron took
enabler.
a lot of money
Yeah,
out of my
encourager. Yeah. Oh yeah, pre-war encourager. I think is what he'd prefer to call himself, right? But that's kind of how I kind of got really connected with Phil. So, but yeah, Phil Garrett, check him out. He's doing like he did the Road to 310 series. He's still doing it right now, where he kind of tried to get an item, not always a card, right, but an item for each Hall of Famer as of like like late 2000s. Um, I'm trying to do something similar. I'm trying to do like rookie slash early card because I can't always get all the rookie cards. Some of the players are super expensive, where they're only like one copy of stuff, right? Thinking like a Josh Gibson, right, where there's like maybe one or two playing day postcards total. So sometimes you have to settle for early card or just any card, if you will. But that's kind of the path I'm down. But I'm trying to focus just on the players. I probably won't do like executives or like the managers, at least not now. So that's kind of the rabbit hole I'm jumping down. Is just trying to get all these rookie cards. So at first I was doing like all the post war guys. Then I'm like, well, I got to start knocking out these guys that are a little more expensive because I'm not going to get any cheaper. Is my fear, right? So
Yeah, absolutely. Now this next one, when I saw that, it put a smile on my face. I know a lot of guys who are maybe more casual baseball fans don't know who this guy is. So again, I was a voracious reader, so I do know my baseball history. And I saw this card, it definitely made me smile. And that's of course Michael King Kelly. Uh,
yes.
Tell us a little bit about this one. Obviously, this is I think the oldest one that you sent me. I could be wrong, but I believe that it is. But tell me about how you picked this one up here.
Yep, this was off of Net54, just off one of the buy sell trade forums. But I think we all know our friend Orlando, right? I say our
Oh,
friend. I know everyone's best friend is Scott, but Orlando obviously had a super tough year that we all kind of went through with him, right? And I know we all kind of really supported Orlando through that last year. And happy to hear he's got some good news recently, right? That he
yeah,
shared on one of the
yeah,
live streams. But this is the like I think Orlando. I think of this guy, right? Like Orlando's talked about King Kelly, about all the all the things he did to the game. Famously, like called himself into a play and then caught the ball when he wasn't actually on the field, and like they had to change the rule because of him. Like just all the stuff that King Kelly did. Like obviously, like that there's a song. I mean, he's just a super famous player. Like statistically, he's not probably even like a top 10 or 20 player in the 1900, late the 19th century, I should say, right? But like
true.
there's so much beyond that, like the catching gear that you see here. That's why I wanted to get this one. He's obviously got like the Allen and Ginter. He's got the old Judge and whatnot. And those are obviously more costly. I just like the image of this one with the catcher gear because he's kind of one of the first ones to wear catcher gear. Before they back then they didn't have it, right? So it just wasn't there. So he did a lot for the game, and at least allegedly for the game, and obviously just kind of a household name, even though again he wasn't like up there with the Cat Banson in terms of stats or anything, right?
Right.
But obviously Hall of Famer still.
He was basically the marquee star there for a while. And what's
Yep.
I find fascinating is, like you mentioned, guys like him, Buck Ewing's another one.
Yep.
The guys who played with them, Ed or Ned Williamson's as another player, they were held up into the level of like a Cap Anson in terms of ability. But that was before people really compiled stats and they had a book or a reference to do it. And so, guys like King Kelly, Slide Kelly Slide, I mean, he was like a matinee, even though it wasn't a matinee, he was like a star. He lived hard. He blew through his money. I think he died early, like
Oh,
36.
super young. Yeah, like 30s or something, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
late 30s, early 40s. Super young. Yeah.
But it's just fascinating. Like the guys who became the big sports writers after the turn of the century grew up watching these guys, and they just held them at such high esteem. They kind of embellished maybe how good they really were. Because then you look at like the stats of King Kelly, or if you look at the stats of a guy like Buck Ewing, um, they don't look like anything special. But sometimes, it's like Mickey Mantle. People that are younger than us, I've seen videos. Why is Mickey Mantle so special? His stats weren't that good because Mickey Mantle represented the best player on the best team in baseball history during a decade where everything just blew up. Television. People didn't see World Series or games other than World Series when TVs first came out. And who'd they see every year? They saw Mickey Mantle and the Yankees. So guys like my dad who lived in Kansas, that was his favorite player. A lot of guys, their dad's favorite player was Mickey Mantle because that's who they saw growing up. So, but I absolutely love that card. I mean, that's just things like that make me smile. It's just such a cool image. Now, speaking of Cap Anson, let's take a peek at this thing here. Oh, I think I just took that one off here. There we go. So explain what these are.
Yeah, so actually I have this one handy. I'll show you. I know I'll be small in the corner. Don't worry about moving the video. I'll just kind of hold up because I haven't actually opened this yet. I just got this week. But it's from 1874. It's the Harper's Weekly newspaper, periodical, if you will. And inside there was this, I kind of considered like a supplement. Kind of considered like almost like the sporting news ones that came out like in the early 1900s. M10, the M101, 102, etc. But like, this is just a team photo. It's like the guy on the top left was their pitcher McBride, and back then they only played and they only played 55 games a season. He pitched every inning, every out was just the same pitcher. So it's just crazy stuff that you couldn't imagine today, right? But at the bottom right there is Cap Anson. So obviously, like first guy to hit 3,000 hits. So had to pick up Cap Anson. He's in the Hall of Fame. Obviously, allegedly, there was a lot of things that he definitely believed in that I don't agree with, right? I mean, obviously, with being a Hank Aaron collector, right? So if that's all true, then but that's why I want to invest a lot of money in a Cap Anson card. His cards are pretty famously expensive, like the stuff much later, like in the 1880s, actually, when he actually had cards like Allen Ginter, the old judges. I wasn't going to spend 3,000 to 5,000 to even get like a one, and then obviously like the Good One Champions is more than that even for a one. I got this for a couple $100, and like it's a really cool image. It's a lot earlier. His rookie season was 1871, so it's closer to that. So again, kind of that vein of having early as possible. Because if I'm thinking 1887, that's like a 16th or 17th season. It's late career. So I'd rather have something earlier, much more affordable, and it's just kind of really cool. I'm not probably as big a reader as in baseball history, but I just like history in general. Like that's what I wanted to be when I was growing up as a history teacher. I think a lot of guys had that dream. I think, right? A lot of us probably. I never did it, right?
A coach, so that didn't work out. But I'm the same way.
I wanted to be a history teacher. I was big into it. So like this, even just having these old papers. I bought a bunch of like newspaper photos last year at the National in Cleveland. There's just something about it. It's just kind of cool. So having a 152-year-old newspaper sitting next to me is pretty awesome. So
I used to go up to when I went to the University of Kansas between classes. I used to go up to the library up there, and they actually had New York Times newspapers, like the actual in binders, and I used to just sit there and thumb through them and just look at all the 20 Yankees and stuff that were in there. Just fascinating to see. Now, speaking of Kansas, which I mentioned that I'm from, this one just blows my mind. I just love this.
I know what this one's going to be. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Woo. So this one I picked up right before the end of the year, I think. So this one's got a backstory to it too. So obviously, Walter Johnson, super famous. I've been wanting this card for a while, but I knew, anyone that's looked at this card knows it's even the one stupid money, right? So I knew I needed one with a lot of love and then some. So this one kind of fit the bill. You can see the bottom right corner is missing. The bottom's been cut off a little bit, it's obviously been altered. So I know it just says authentic. It's back before SGC label things altered, I think, right? So this is probably a 20-year-old slab, if I had to guess. But it's funny. So I'm in a lot of us are in a bunch of different group chat, texts, whatever you want to call them, right? So literally, someone just joined our text group, and it's Kyle collecting America's Pastime.
Yeah.
That the morning, and then he shared hey, he was buying some stuff. He was just checking to see if some cards were authentic. With Jason, everyday card collector. And then Jason's like, well, I'm just going to invite him. He kind of collects like we do, right? There's a few other people in there, Aaron's and there, a couple other folks. And so he joined the text group, and we're all like, that's awesome. I can't believe we got that for a deal. He got I think he showed it since on his channel, but I want, just in case he had, I won't say what he got, but he got a really cool card for a really, really good deal. happy for him, but a little bit jealous too at the same time. One of those situations. But I'm like, where'd you get all this stuff from? And who's selling all this stuff? And lo and behold, it's a guy on F54, but he didn't actually put it like in the buy sell trade forum. It's just like a little link in the bottom of his signature line, if you will, on the forum. If you haven't been on F54, it's a great resource for pre-war, especially, or any card for that matter. But so I like started. We all started digging through his stuff, and Aaron's like, "Aren't you looking for one of these?" And he sent me the link of this picture because I was working that day. A lot of the other guys were off for like holiday vacation and whatnot, but I actually happened to be working a little bit, trying to just finish on the text here and there. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" So then like he didn't have a price listed, so I had to kind of work on the price a little bit. I tried to do a trade. We couldn't get to terms on a trade, but super happy to get this. I was looking for one, and one of my neighbors, actually not too far, like less than a mile away, Scott Brockelman, the guy that runs the Brockelman auctions. He's a big dealer. Been in the hobby a long time. He's a big guy on F54 also. He's like, "Oh, you need to get yourself like a nice two or three." I'm like, "Scott, I'm not gonna be able to afford a two or three. Like, I need to find one like this." So it just was perfect timing. Like literally within the day of him joining the chats when I was able to pick this up. So this one's definitely one I don't plan on ever moving, or I'm never gonna be able to afford another one. So like I need one like this. So there won't be a cheaper copy for me to get. I
It's
guess is what I
just
would say.
absolutely stunning card. And
Thank you. Yeah,
man,
the image is still really good. I think the image is fine. That's all that matters to me, right? The
that's the
corners and
big thing
edges
for
are
me.
secondary. Now it's a beautiful card. You want it to be nice, right? I'd love it to be cleaner, but I can't afford cleaner. So
I've got a T205 Mathewson, and it has some love in it, but it's the face is fine, and you could see that handsome Matty face,
yeah,
and
with the hair, the little
that's
hair he's got. Yeah, yeah, the
the most
locks.
important part of that to me. Now, here's another one that's I think kind of unique because you don't normally think of sluggers as fielders, and so you don't see a lot of cards of them doing anything but having a bat in their hands. So this one's pretty cool too. I like this one. Let me go ahead and show up. Double X Jimmy Fox.
Yeah, so this is a strategically placed stamp. Like, so back in the day, a lot of folks probably know this story, but like kids would be afraid. A lot of these cards they're all pulling the same cards out of like this obviously exhibit. So they want to make sure that they don't lose their copy, right? So like a lot of kids would put stamps. They put their name on the back. They might have a stamp with their name that they put on the back. They put some kind of identification to make sure that it was their card, right? So um, now that saved me a lot of money. So I'm thankful for whoever kid took the time to put a stamp on this. I think there actually some writing on the back as well. He wrote like triple X on the back, and so I got this one from Phil Gary also. But I needed a Jimmy Fox rookie card for he's in a lot of like, obviously one of the highest wars. That's one of the projects I'm doing as part of my pre-war journey. Is like a lot of the guys like with over 100 war played back then, right? So I'm trying to get everyone with over 100 war, and I'll probably start moving down the ranks. But like I'm down just a few guys left to get where I need like a rookie early. I need like four more cards. So made pretty quick work of that. But that's what's been fun. I kind of have all these little side lists of projects: 500 home run club, 3,000 hit club, so 300 win club. So just been kind of bobbing and weaving, picking up. But again, you can see a lot of these cards are like super low end. Like it's about ownership rather than grade for me. So
One of the things I think is really fascinating, and I think it's actually pretty cool, is when I was growing up, writing on a card, kiss of death, pinhole,
oh yeah,
kiss of death, autograph, especially an autograph on a rookie card, you might as well just throw it away. Nobody wanted those. Now that we are a little older, maybe the people in the hobby are a little wiser, not to say anything about the guys who passed on that were telling us this stuff. It adds some soul to the
yeah,
card to think of this, like kid put this on his wall with a pinhole. A kid put a stamp on it so everybody knows that's my card. The writing on the back where they put maybe the new team that the player's playing on, or put their name in pencil on the back. I mean, just those cards tell a story. We may not know what the story is. We can kind of be creative in our own minds and think about what the story is, but so many people now are looking at the beauty of the card, the story behind the card, and it doesn't matter if it has an A or 1 or 2, it's still something that's meaningful to all of us. And so I think that's cool that more and more people are giving some of these lower end grades or condition cards a chance, because look at that. I mean, that card has a story. That a
yep,
pristine one, yeah, it's going to be worth a lot more money, but there's nothing wrong with that card. Nothing wrong with
no,
that card. Now, you also have a person that you have kind of got into, I think, doing a little bit of a run of trying to collect. And I know some of my St. Louis guys would be excited to see this guy. Talk a little bit about the meaning for Rogers Hornsby.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, a lot of my player collector history. So I've always kind of been a player collector. Like that's one thing I know I didn't talk about history all the way back to the beginning. But when I was growing up, I was a fan of Ryan Sandberg. I would say famously second baseman for the Cubs, who just passed away last year, right before the National. That was terrible. Like the night before, so it kind of bummed me out for that little bit for that getting to the National. But so I collected him for like 10 years or so. Try to get almost everything. It's kind of similar to what I do now. I try to get as much as I can, different items, right? And then left the hobby like in high school, late high school, college, like everyone else does. And you get out of school, you don't have any money, so I wasn't doing much on the hobby, right? Um, but then I started collecting second baseman again. It's like, oh, Chase Utley, this guy's great. Let's collect him for the Phillies. He was like my favorite second baseman, like in the 2000s, right? So I did that. So then I realized, like, obviously with Aaron Matthews and Spawn, no second baseman, right? So I'm like, I need to find someone in pre-war. Once I started going on the pre-war rabbit hole, so like Rogers Hornsby, why not collect the best? Like the best that ever did it at that position, right? So that's kind of how I landed on Hornsby. And I mean, I love the oversized. You see, these are all just a bunch of different oversized images. Like the top left is the Butterfinger set. That it's just an awesome set. And then the top middle, the top right are just a couple team cards from the Cubs, like in 30 and 31. The pitcher packs, and that like those are great. I've been buying a bunch of pitcher packs like from various years, even like later in the 40s and 50s and 60s. It's a great way. You actually, a lot of people buy them, then they sell the ones they don't want. Um, I know I bought one from one of my Matthews cards I needed was a Tiger 68 set when they won the World Series, and like um, you know one of the guys, oh, it's a Eric Detroit collector. He collects Bill Freehand, so I'm going to bring that to Independence to give him because I'm like, it means more to him than it's going to mean to me, right? And so I'm like, oh, you just have it, right? So like the pitcher packs are great because there's a lot. Again, to your point about having different stories, different players, you get like 10 or 12 guys and you get basically for the price of the star. Everything else is free almost, right? So I got those top two from on the right from again, I talked about people across the country. Uh, Theo happened to be at the Phillies show back in December with his new role with Collector Investor Auctions, and I saw Howard Chasser was setting up there, and these were in his like little Facebook post he does with everything in his display case. I'm like, I need you to go negotiate this for me, Theo. So I got both of those, and the Howard sent them to me a couple of days after I got back to his house, and worked out great. Now the bottom left, another great story. So that is the it's called the Felix Mendel Center that 1917, 1920, and then or like the M101-6 is kind of like the series name. But this is considered my like early Hornsby, right? Because everything else you're gonna have is like the Colin McCarthy. That you're talking like 20 grand for like a one and a half. This is obviously still not cheap. Don't get me wrong. This is not like a $200 card by any means, but like I was able to get this one. This one Aaron saw on Facebook or eBay, excuse me. And I've since bought some other stuff from the same seller. We'll probably look at one of the other items I bought from him later off X, but or Twitter, whatever it's called. But this one's super tough. There's maybe like 20 or less copies of this image, but just super cool. In fact, when it was still a shortstop, so you see that at the bottom there. I know it's probably hard to see that. I'm not the best at taking photos. You guys realize I'd probably never be a photojournalist by any means, but just a super cool image of him, right? Field of I know it's posed, right, but with his glove, right. So yeah, and that's obviously, and Hornsby famously, like he was so dedicated, like he didn't watch movies because he didn't want to ruin his eyes. He literally was so focused on baseball, which I think a lot of these guys like himself and the Cobb try to be manager. It's like someone that's so good at something and cares so much they're never going to be good at managing other people because no one else is going to care as much as they do, right? They think that's a lot of the best players just never make good managers. Same thing like Pete Rose. I know obviously he famously had challenges at the end there with his team, but like when you care that much and there's no way anyone else is going to care as much as you do on the team, and you still have some talent obviously too that we're born with that helps, but like it's just hard to be a manager I think in those situations. And then the bottom right one's a cool one. It's the leather finish. I know like Jason has a few of those. He has a really cool Jimmy Fox one with the catching gear, but this one I went off on auction a few months back. But this is just a really cool image. It's like, and again, those are all super. Like other than one on the bottom left, they're all. I mean, definitely just like either low hundreds of dollars. Like they're all within reach. I would say for most people, at least get something, and they're all oversized, great real images rather than to your point, like the artistic renditions on the strip cards. And I have a lot of strip cards too, because like I do for Aaron and Spawn and Matthews, I want to get them all
No.
eventually. Right now, it's gonna be hard to get the early ones for Hornsby. So that the one on the bottom left, maybe my early card forever. We'll see. I hope not. But we're gonna try to get one earlier, but for now, it's definitely that.
Now, when I was growing up, when it came to pre-war, obviously we didn't have the internet. We didn't have a lot of resources that we do now. So the stuff like this, I mean, this is where I learned what there was for pre-war, which is just kind of the standard. Nothing, nothing like you see on the screen here, or even these here, where there's such a variety. Now, some of that variety is extremely rare, and so it's extremely expensive. But there's also a lot of pre-award that you can get some of the great Hall of Famers, and that's a lot of what you'll see on my channel.
Yep.
That won't break the bank. That in fact, it's less than $100, and you get some really beautiful image of Hall of Fame players or great players or guys with interesting stories. It's not that expensive. So these are things that when I'm looking at these cards, when I walked to that show or went to that show in St. Louis, I didn't walk, but when I went to that show in St. Louis and met up with some guys at the Westport show, I saw dealers I don't normally see. Now, you've seen videos that guys put on YouTube of all the different cards and stuff, and it blows my mind. But to actually, for the first time in my life, at the age of 54 almost, I saw cards I've never seen before. And they were
Yep.
just there, I could hold them, I could look at them. And it just kind of blew my mind because growing up, even though I loved baseball and I collected some pre-war even back then, I didn't even know these existed until I really became active in the YouTube community. So tell us about what we're seeing here, because I mean, there's such a variety of Hornsby items here. It's just staggering to me.
Yeah, so two of my first ones are those exhibits. So the top right, and then the second one on the bottom row from the right. I actually got those with Aaron Value Vintage from Howard last year. So he had a bunch of exhibits and just a stack of exhibits he just bought from someone. They weren't even in holders. He just had them like raw or ungraded, just a stack of them. And he was like, "You can have these for like $100 or whatever each." And I'm like, "For a Hornsby?" Like sure. Like I mean, I don't, like oversized. I mean, yeah, they're definitely well loved. The backs are roached probably, right? And like one of them has like his name crossed out. I think they have the team names crossed out, but I don't know. I still enjoy them. They're my first ones of him, and they're obviously different images because a lot of times you'll see like that same image you'll see in the one on the second on the top to the second one. That image is on like 30 of us 80 cards, honestly. That one's the standard biscuit one, but it's in so many like all the caramel issues almost use the same image. It's cool though because he has a bat over his shoulder and he has a glove sticking out of his back pocket, so it's an awesome image. But they use it a lot, right? The other one that you see a lot is that one exhibit on the bottom. That's in a lot of different issues too. But like that one at the bottom right, super cheap. It was a game. It's like the end all die cuts, and those are super affordable. The nice thing about that is once we moved around so much in the 30s when those came out, he's on like I've seen one with him on Boston, St. Louis, and Chicago. So there's three
Yeah.
different versions of that at least that I know of. And again, I can't know what year they are because he moved around so many times. He went back to the same team more than once. But like, and then like the one, I mean, the Cashton's one of my favorites. The one on the bottom left. Um, it's a really cool set. I mean, I think I have a few different caches, and that was kind of one of my other first pre-war cards was that one, but that set I should say. But I've always liked that one. That's obviously Conlon Photos, which is obviously a super famous photographer, and really affordable, and not these colorized like, strip cards you see on the top left, right? The one in the middle, like the pinkish looking one or red, that one's actually really neat. I didn't know this, but Aaron told me like that's the Rittenhouse candy. That was the last a candy card, caramel card or whatever, right? So like came out like a 34 before, like, because obviously the gum issues I consider are different, right? So it's like the last E card, if you will, set issued in the early
So
30s. So I wanted to get
tell
that
me,
once I learned that because I really don't like the one to have like the playing cards, but like sometimes I don't know, that one kind of drew me in once I realized that kind of little tidbit about it. I didn't know before that, right? So kind of cool, kind of cool.
and
But yeah,
some of those are the ones
the
that
strip
people
cards
can
are.
afford too.
What's I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say some of those are the ones that people can afford, because those aren't the most popular. The ones that are like the playing cards.
Well, yeah, for like Garrick, you can get a 27 like W560, like, and that's one of his most affordable. Like, the most affordable by far a 20s card he's going to have, right? So, and it's still pretty early in his career. And it's the same year as Murderers Row, right? For example, I don't have that one yet, but that's one I wouldn't mind having just because of that. It's so early towards the beginning of his career, right? So, yeah, no, there's good value there. I do have another one for. So there are a couple cards that I send you. So I did. My surname is Aldridge. It's fine. I'm on Facebook and stuff. People could probably know and figure it out. So like there was a Vic Aldridge that pitch for the Pirates and the Cubs. Actually, I have one of his Cubs player contracts that I bought back in my earlier days on YouTube. I bought that and have it here somewhere in this room. I'm not sure where it's at, somewhere in here. But he was in a few different sets. He was like in one of the I have a Z Nut for him, which is a kind of a cool like minor league run of cards that they did back in the day. And then but then I have one of his these playing cards. He was in one of those years. I think it might have been the W560. And some other cards of his too. But that's kind of my first foray into pre-war. But again, no one probably know of Vic Aldridge. Although he did win a couple games in the 25 series when they beat the Washington, right? So obviously Walter Johnson was on the other side of the mound. And it's funny, he actually went to go for a third win and pitched against Johnson in Game 7. he got like smoked out of the game, but then their team came back to win it, so Pittsburgh won that World Series. But anyway, so I like the variety. So again, you're gonna see variety with Hornsby because I'm trying to get them all, but like I've kind of focused a lot of the lower end ones, and I have a couple nice ones. Like that one at the top right on the second one from the top right is pretty rare. There's like four of those. That's the standard biscuit. Four of those graded total, and then obviously everything else on this page is nothing's more than like $400 or $500. Like they're all attainable, and you can get them in lower grades than even I got, and probably get them even cheaper, right? So I'd say if you're looking for a Hornsby card, there's a lot to choose from. You look at all the different colors and variety on the screen, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely blows my mind now. You talked about how you like the cash-in set. We'll show a couple other cash-ins here because there's one that's really interesting to me because, man, that might be on my list to pick up here soon just because I might be able to afford it to do it. But I want to show this one. Another one of my favorite players who I think is definitely underappreciated by the hobby is this guy here.
Yep. Yeah, so Mel or Melvinot, this is a rookie card for him. I got this one from Phil as well. So this one is I call him a Mookie special because there's a pinhole right in the top white border. But apart from that, I mean, look how nice that image is. So I know technically it's a 1.5. That's the most we can give it because it has a pinhole, but the back's clean. And I would say great image of him, right, with the Giants. And I like how he had the New York on the sleeve. It just screams baseball. It's kind of like the Hornsby with the St. Louis logo we had on his sleeve that they kind of, obviously you can tell it's staged, right? But it's just a really cool photography, right? So again, Colin photo, so not surprised, right? But like the cashless set's great. I can't recommend it enough.
Now, the first time I saw this next card I want to show, um, our buddy Jason, everyday card collector, picked this up, and man, this one's been locked in my mind ever since because I was like, oh, there is a beautiful card of this guy that I might be able to get someday, and it may be this year. I don't know, but look at this beauty.
Yeah, yeah. And it's his birthday today as we're filming this, right?
Oh,
So
no
happy
kidding.
birthday, Mr. George Ruth. But yeah, yeah, but this one was the one I got the 2024 national. So when I originally bought like that cop for my son, I bought this the next year. I'm like, well, let me just try to do like the inaugural class because obviously there's 5 players. That seemed like something I could maybe achieve, or over the years, right, type of thing. And this is back when I was just going to say I don't want to go into pre-work because I know, and obviously you see all these cards we've already shown. I bought all these like at the last year, sadly, like the last year for the most part, outside of this and that cob, right? So I tend to like when I start doing something, I kind of go all in, and I knew that about myself. And obviously, pre-war tends to be a little more expensive, right? So that's kind of why I was trying to keep it at arm's length. But this one, I got this one in 2024. I was looking around at the Gaudi Sports Kings, and I was looking, which is a little bit more expensive, and I was looking at like this the normal Gaudis, like in a low grade. But this card just looked great, and so like a lot of my friends were helping me look for it. So like I had the other one I went there kind of looking at because again I like oversized was like the 34, I think it's 34 Quaker Oats Premium. So again, it's an actual photo of them rather than like the Gaudis. Um, but at that show at the time, those were actually more than like 2K even for like a one. They've since come down, and the same with this card. This hasn't gone anywhere in price. If not, it's probably maybe a little bit cheaper even than what I paid.
No,
But
I know
so it's definitely one.
I'm definitely in the minority when it comes to the Gaudis. I don't think that they're that appealing for me,
Yeah,
for my eyes. I would rather have this, not because it's cheaper, because that's a photo of the Bambino on a
yeah,
card, a playing days card. And so I would much rather have this than one of the Gaudis. If
yeah,
I
and
got
it's
it,
earlier. Yeah, and it's
okay,
earlier as well, and it's a real image, right? Yeah, it's Conlon photo, right? It's a great image, and it's used on a couple other cards as well. But yeah, just him getting ready to hit a home run over the wall, right? That's all I see and think about, right?
that's stunning. Now you mentioned the going after the first class, so let's show another member here of that first
Sure.
class. This is a beautiful. Look at that,
So
man.
again, well loved, but these are tough. Like this is the W600, and there's 4 types. This is the last type, and they actually got around to figure out how to spell his last name with just the one T finally, right? So anyway, the other ones he has one that has like street clothes, and then he has one with this same jersey, but it's misspelled. This slab is wrong. It says street clothes, but it's really not. It's actually his uniform, if you will. But it just looked different back then, right? So, yeah, I got this off Net 54. The guy had a price. He's been trying to sell for like 2 years. Kept lowering his price, and then I kept waiting and waiting, and finally reached out to him, and then and I even so just and again we all know in our group like Sammy's a big Christy Mathewson. I'm like, hey
Oh yeah,
Sammy, like this guy's down to this price. I've actually negotiated down to here. Do you want to take a go at this, right? Because he's got some big Christy Mathewson cards, the Cracker Jack,
Right.
the Pinkertons. Like I was like, well, maybe it's in range, and he's like, no, I can't do it. So like, and I just didn't want to step anyone's toes. Like this is like there just aren't that many out there. Like this is down to we're talking like single digit population, and regardless of grade, right? So yeah, I knew like I don't know. This is one of those just iconic sets that I thought I'd like to happen again. This one's rough. Like the image is great. That's all that matters to me. But like you see all the staining on the back. Someone actually like put like almost looks like shipping tape across the back. I know I didn't send you the image, but it looks like shipping tape across the back. I don't know if I have it. Oh, I do have it handy. I'm not sure if you're gonna see it on the screen, but like here it is. You can see the shipping, almost like the mailing tape across the back.
Let me,
Um,
let me take this off and see if I can get that one.
yeah, well, I don't want to screw up. I know you're doing a great job with all the images, but like, you see, like it looks like shipping tape almost, like if that makes sense, right? And you can see how bad the stain is on through the back of the card, right? But and the glare
Look
is
at that.
terrible. That's why
Oh, ugh.
we did the thing for you. But it looks like almost like I said, almost like shipping tape across the back. But anyway, I'm like I don't really care about that. The image looks great to me. Um, I couldn't afford like I actually just can't find the other one that's early for him as the Police Gazette. It's like 1901. It's earlier than even the W600, but like, they're not for sale. I never seen one for sale, at least since I've been looking for pre-war cards. So I saw this one. I'm like, well, that's early, kind of back to my early slash rookie card. It was early enough for me, and so I grabbed it.
I mean, I don't know if Matheson has a bad card. I mean, that guy, he just, man, all these
Photogenic.
videos, he
Yeah.
absolutely was good. Now, talking about guys who were not in the first class, should have been, but because of the way that they voted back then, people are like, why didn't Cy Young make it? Well, for those of you who don't understand, the Hall of Fame voting has been screwed up from the very beginning, and so because of Cy Young played so much in the 19th century, and then you played a lot in the 20th century, but obviously more in the 19th. The instructions to the people, they had two separate voting um, groups. They had a group that was supposed to vote for guys who played in the 19th century, and then they had other group, the writers, voting for guys who played in the 20th century. Guys like Cy Young, who straddled that, some guys, because they didn't have the communication, like you just, talk to somebody, get on your phone. It was different back then. So there were guys who didn't vote for Cy Young, who were the writers, because he played in the 19th century. He thought that's who was supposed to vote for him. Conversely, there's guys who were supposed to be focused on the 19th century guys who didn't vote for Cy Young because he played into the 20th century. So Cy Young definitely should have been in that first class, and it's really not his fault. But look at this beauty. Whew. That's just
Yeah. So this is the person I bought that one Hornsby, the one that the one where he's fielding, right? The shortstop one I mentioned, the M101-6.
right.
I bought this from him as well. He had it on he had it on eBay, and of course he also put it on Net54 for a price, and then eventually he put it on X. And I'm like, well, there are a lot of people on X than on Net54, right? And especially in the hobby, like there's like a pretty big card Twitter community, whatever you want to call it, hobby Twitter. And I'm like, there's a chance someone else is going to buy this. In fact, one of the people that tend to buy like the nicer stuff on X kind of asked him about it quite a bit. On like you can see because it wasn't like private message, they could see the comments. So I'm like, well, this it's now or never. So I tried to make a trade. I did another pickup that I showed on X, and he's like, "Oh, that's one of the ones that's on my short list." So I'm like, "Hey, I'm willing to trade if you want to trade for it." Um, and so we couldn't work out a trade. He said, "No, I can't do that." So then I just had to figure out a way to pay for it. But yeah, this is the M101-1, so the first sporting news series that they did, and it's actually dated. I have it here. It's dated. Let's see. December 9th, 1899, right? So it's pretty awesome. I haven't taken
Yeah.
out of the frame. I'm not sure if it's been trimmed or anything. If it has, I'm not really worried about it
Yeah,
because the image looks great.
yeah, that's absolutely stunning. Now, I didn't know it was Babe Ruth's birthday, but I saved this for the last one just to end on a bang. But tell us a little bit about this one here.
Sure. Yeah, this one famously was in the collector investor auctions. I guess it was maybe December. There was that Godfather collection. I think the Greg Miller of oh my gosh, Midlife Nation. Sorry, it's late late night for me, I guess. Anyway, brain fog. But so anyway, this is technically supposedly his first Yankees card. So this is 1920. Famously got traded. That the year before, after like the guy wanted to do a play or something in the Red Sox organization. The owner of the Red Sox wanted to do a play or something. So sold Babe Ruth for $100,000 to the Yankees, and so Again, the same problem I have with the Hornsby, like the 19 or the 1916, like M101-4-5, like they're they're hundreds of thousands, or even for like a one or an altered, right? So this was a nice alternative. I like the bright blue, and again, my color's a little shifted. You can tell his eyes are a little off and his color's a little off, but like still really cool. Nice bright blue. Obviously, you got authentic for minimum size, but this is actually a lot better cut than most of them. They even have numbers, but look, I'm not looking to sell it or anything unless I find a way to eventually get an older card. But to my knowledge, this is the most affordable early Ruth card. Obviously, affordable kind of in air quotes, but and again, it's a strip card. Got rosy red cheeks it probably doesn't really have, but that's that was a cool image and a nice
Some
early
of
card for
those
him.
smoke cards don't look anything like. I mean, I can't remember what year it is, but like there's a Walter Johnson strip card, and you can tell it's not him. And then some of the printing, he's left-handed. He's throwing
Yeah,
left-handed. It's like those I would not even consider ever buying. But I mean, that you could tell that's the Babe. It's got that mischievous little grin on his face. I mean,
yeah,
that's Babe Ruth right there when he's still young and in his heyday, or just getting ready to,
exactly.
I would say. Well, that's the cards that you showed or that you sent me. So I'll go ahead and take this one off. If we've got just a few minutes here, we're about running about 15 minutes. If there's anything that, well, one thing I wanted to ask you, do you have, you're into pre-war now,
Yep.
but are you still dabbling? Well, I know you are because I've seen some of your cards and like the golden era things like this. Are you just kind of more exclusively now just going to focus on the pre-war, or are you kind of going back and forth and just getting whatever just appeals to you and calls to you?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm doing a little bit of both. I wish I had it it's not quite at arm's length or I'd get it, but I did get quite a few Hank Aaron. So there was a really big Hank Aaron super collector that dumped a bunch of stuff at Mile High a few weeks back. And so I grabbed a lot of the tougher cards from Aaron, but they're not quite so I was able to finish like the Cons hot dog run,
Oh, no.
which runs from like 65 to 69. He's got like 8 different cards. I got the last two I needed for that run, and then I finished his bazooka run for like the actual just the hand cut standalone cards. So yeah, I'm still doing Aaron pretty hardcore. The problem, and it sounds bad to say this, like I'm down to like 10 Eddie Matthews cards left, and six of those are just JPub, so there's just not a lot left to go look for. And then for
A lot
Spawn,
of
I need
those are
like
the same anyway.
20-ish. What's that?
A lot of those J Publishing, like I'm a Veda Pinson collector, and I look at the
Yeah,
J Publishing photos, like that's the same dang one for year after year. So
yeah.
how much
I don't get
different?
that excited about them. I like the images and again they're oversized. I like that, but it's just like it's not a priority because I know there's a lot of them out. Like those are going to be fine. I can get to them when I get to them. Like for now, it is trying to just knock off some more of these rookie slash early cards. I am buying also some like I showed some on the video I did with Theo a couple days ago, but like I like the Robin Yao hostess panel came this week, and
Yeah.
like I got a Pools minor league card the other day, which obviously are, Cardinals guys, right? Might enjoy that, but like so I'm still buying like again I'm trying to do those runs, right? So like I call my Warrior project. I haven't actually done a video obviously on it, but like all the guys with a war over 100 for their career. So there's 32 players that have that. Spawn's funnily enough like right at 100. Again, I'm using Baseball Reference more, which
Right.
combines batting and fielding, right? So like Spawn actually is not quite 100 based on pitching, but obviously he had like 34 homers for a pitcher, so I kind of bumped him up to go right at 100.0. So he makes the cut. Obviously, I would have had his card anyway. Matthews isn't quite there, but I still have his rookie card too. But so like 32 of those, I'm down to like four guys left for that. So I'm making pretty good progress on that. So that's kind of how I'm going. And then, like I said, I'm doing like the 500 home run club. There's 28 guys currently in that. I think I need four or five more. But I got all the big guys out of the way. Like I was lucky enough to get the Matthews last year. It's Jonesville. I traded like 15 cards and money to get that Matthews tops card. So yeah, I'm still picking up some golden era. Still picking up even modern guys. I picked up a bunch of the '90s guys recently. The Alex Rodriguez. I grabbed like the die cut SP. Just have something a little bit different, right? And like I grabbed like the OPG for Eddie Murray. I'm grabbing just a little bit different flair on just the normal cards. But I got some tops cards too, right? And so the pre ones are fun though, right? I just got this one. I showed it. I know just last night in the live, but like the Nap Lajoie fan craze. It's just it's 1906. So he also is in like he kind of straddles that 19th century too. He had an MO1-1. He had he's in like the W600s. But again, I looked at that's kind of why I decided to get this card. I looked at it and I was like, literally, there's been 45 public sales. I put this on X, like 45 public sales with other cards before that card for Lajoie, and like I think 24 of those were over 10,000. So like, how many cards are actually attainable that I could get that's older than that? So I was able to get that recently at Heritage. This one I did. I showed in the video with Theo the Jackie Robinson pitcher pack that I got when I made a trade with Ash. One of the cards I got back was this Tim Keefe card. So obviously, famously a 300 game winner. But kind of back to the reason I pulled this one out just now, the reason I wanted to show you guys, this has the collectors, they stamped their name on the back. I'm not sure if we can read it here. It says C. Robbie Chase. This like stamped across the back, straight across the card. So I don't know, I just like stuff like that, right? So obviously it gets the MK designation, but I don't care. So this is my first Allen Ginter card. The reason you didn't get this picture is because again it's an older slab. It's got 4 at the beginning, so they don't have pictures in PSA. And then the last one I just got last week that came in the mail. Someone also wrote the name on this one, but this one's one of the tougher ones to get. Pud Galvin, allegedly the first PED user, right? So
he was a big boy.
big guy. He pitched. He and was it Old Hoss, whatever. Each pitched like 600 innings back to back in like 1883 and 1884. So someone wrote their name on the back. But again, that doesn't matter to me on these old. This is my only old judge I have, right? But like these, the nice thing you want is this nice bright black and white, like contrast, if you will. To me, that's all that matters on these is the image. That's why I'm talking with other folks, right? Because there's like a little mark, there's paper loss there, but they still gave it a 2 because the image is so good compared to a lot of the old judges are really faded, right? So, but yeah, this guy's got like I don't know 60, 70 cards total. That's it because he was only in a couple sets and he was done.
That's just stunning. But hey, I want to thank you for coming on. If anybody's been watching this, I'm sure that they have had a smile on their face like I have, because being such a baseball history buff, when you see cards like this, it's just cool. It's really cool to see. And I'm glad that there are guys from our generation that still go back. Who wants to collect guys that have been dead? I do. And you do. And a lot of people do. And hopefully we can pass that love on to the next generation, because somebody passed it on to us. I mean, a lot of us started collecting vintage when we were younger. A lot of guys kind of do the traditional, hey, I'm starting in junk wax or early modern, and then I go back to the golden era. And then I'm going back to pre-war. Now a lot of those guys are jumping back into the golden era and going to the more rare, regional type of sets and doing the same thing for the pre-war. But it's just fun to see a little bit of everything. So, yep. Matt, I appreciate that you came on here. I'm just thrilled to have you on, and this has been a lot of fun. I enjoy watching this. I'm going to watch it again just to see your cards on a bigger screen than a laptop, because they look so beautiful. And that Ruth Cashin, that's one that might be on my target list, if not this year, maybe next year, because you're right. It is affordable. It's a plain days card, and it's a beautiful image.
Happy to help you look for one this year at Independence. If we can find one, I'll be happy to help you look for one. Let me know if you're in the market. And thanks for having me on. It was a blast. I have fun also, and I'm not the best at making my own videos. I definitely enjoy the collaboration videos a lot more than me just in front of a camera now that Tyrus is it with me. He's the main attraction anyway, right? People want to watch see Tyrus collect and what he was thinking, right? So I really lost my mojo doing my own videos. So it's nice to get on and share some of the stuff I picked up over the last 9 months or so with everyone. So thanks for having me, Mike. Appreciate it.
Check out Matt. He was on a couple of recent collaborations. He was on with Theo, and also he was on Cardboard and Cold Ones with Sammy and Jason Everyday Card Collector and Aaron Value Vintage, and that was another great one to watch. So those 3 guys have been instrumental to me when I started becoming a content creator. And actually, the first time I met you, Matt, Sammy just kind of reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to do a StreamYard chat? And I'm like, a recording? Like, no, just a chat. I didn't know people did that. So he reached out to me, and Jason Everyday Card Collector was on there. I think Still City was on there. And then you hopped on. I was so new, I didn't know who you were. And so I think you just had Matt on the screen, and you were on there for a little bit, and then you got off. And for months, I kept asking who was that guy? I couldn't figure out who you were. And finally, I think Jason told me who you were. Now I've known, and I've gone back and watched your videos and knew you're a big Braves fan. And I was, I like collecting Hank Aaron. He's one of my favorite golden era, and Eddie Matthews too. In fact, Matthews was on my all-time underappreciated team as the third baseman, because I always kind of feel bad for him, because he was so good, so young, that people were saying, hey, this is the guy that's going to, break Ruth's record, either the single season or the career. Not only did he not do it, he was the teammate of the guy who
I know.
did do it for the career record. So I always wonder what he thought about that as his career was winding down, if he cared. Probably not. I don't think guys really looked at
He
it.
was there. He was the coach whenever he broke it. That was
Right.
awesome. He came back. He was
Yeah,
managing Aaron.
I'm just
Yeah.
curious what was going through his mind, because he was big. I mean, early on, he was more of a home run hitter than even Mickey Mantle was early in their career. So it was just tough. He's never going to do it playing in Milwaukee. That was just a tough home run park. But hey, again, thanks for doing this. I hope to get to know you more, and I'm sure if you're going to Independence, we'll run into each other there. Just to promo Sunday night Super Bowl. If you aren't interested in the game, we're going to AFineCardCollectors. I shouldn't say we. AFineCardCollectors is going to have some wild and crazy guys on there just to who aren't that interested in the Super Bowl this year. I'm a Chiefs fan, soVe been spoiled the last several years. So I'm not too interested in watching the Seahawks and especially the Patriots. So yeah, I'm going to talk baseball cards and hang out with some hobby buddies. So check that out if you want to. So Matt, again, thank you. Until next, do you have any parting shots or things to say to anybody?
No, I just want to say thanks again. Hope everyone enjoyed it. And my email's on my channel if you want to reach out, ask me any questions about any cards or whatever, or just talk. I'm happy to jump on StreamYards without recording or with recording, anything. I enjoy the collabs, so enjoy just meeting people.
All right.
Thanks again,
until
Mike.
next time, everybody, keep enjoying the hobby and resist that industry that's trying to make it stressful. Just keep having fun. Bye, everybody.